Hi, everybody. It's me, Ask Mike, and it's podcast time.
Woo!
Yay! It's that yearbook podcast with my 3 yearbook friends, Sabrina Schmidt, Jim Jordan, and Danielle Finch. And we're about to bring you the back to school issue of that yearbook podcast. And we got lots
Season
to talk
2.
about.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Yes.
We're on season 2.
I know.
Let me
Crazy.
jump right in,
streaming.
Mike. Mike,
We're streaming. We're back for another season, guys. We're coming back.
the first thing, Mike, everybody's going to want to know is how you feeling, how you doing as we're launched into this next year.
Oh, I'm feeling well. As a matter of fact, I have gone down the Rainbow River twice.
Yeah.
Yesterday was one. It's on my Instagram and my Facebook. I'm just waiting for my next MRI.
Yep.
But I'm doing okay.
Yay.
I'm doing okay. I might slur a word or two.
But everybody loves a healthy Mike Taylor. So
That's right. And if he's fighting off alligators on the Rainbow River, I'd say you're doing okay.
Never saw one.
Not one?
Not one. Not a snake, not an otter, I saw a lot of fish.
There are actual alligators in that river?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
That's their home. That's Mike's just invading it on a
I'm
tube.
invading that river. But the water is 72 degrees and they don't like water. So they'll go up into the swampy area and bury themselves in the mud until nighttime when they want to fish for Mikes. But yeah,
He doesn't like a little Mike fishing.
but you all should come to the Rainbow River. It is the most beautiful place on the face of this earth. Alicia Pope wrote, it's my go-to place. It is my happy place.
That's great.
It's crystal clear.
If people haven't seen the slow-mo video of you falling into the river, that's a must see.
That is a must watch. Yeah. Go check it out. It's out there.
It's there. And Jim's comments.
It was something about whale watching, but I won't repeat it.
Yeah. Well, I haven't said an old joke yet, so you can repeat it.
They're coming.
That's only fair.
They are coming.
Everybody has had a great summer. We've all done workshops.
Yes.
Some more than others. Jim, where did you go?
I was in Washington. I was in North Carolina, and I just got back from the great state of Texas. So
Right.
it was really exciting because there are so many of you great staffs out there that want to do amazing books and want to listen and want to learn and want to do something like put their spreads on grids. Yes.
Yeah, we got them on grids in North Carolina, I hear.
Yes, we
A
did.
national campaign. Everybody's on grids. That's the
And
goal.
I got the shirt art.
Yes.
Yay.
Sabrina, where'd you go?
I was in Missouri,
Yay.
Kansas with
Yay.
John Kelly's crew and Tracy and Alyssa and a whole bunch of people. It was awesome. And then I was down in South Florida with Veronica Levine's camp and Nelson Lopez down there. And then I was at Camp Orlando.
Yeah.
I love Camp Orlando. Yep. At a new hotel this year. That was awesome.
We had a great.
We had a great Camp Orlando, tons and tons of schools there, lots of fun. And like Jim said, books are doing cool stuff this year. Like there were some themes that I was, blown away by. Loved it.
Yep. Hey, and I want to give a shout out to our advisors who took their kids to camp and our great reps.
Over the summer.
Great reps that were at camp, making sure their people were moving forward. So we've got a great team going at Walsworth.
And our trainers. Now, let's talk about trainers in a minute, but I got to go to Idaho. I got to go to Camp Orlando. I was supposed to go to California, but I had a setback. Where am I? Oh, and I'm going to New York this week.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah, that's my special workshop. Because all my trainers are back in school and nobody can go but me. So
That is your happy place. That's your other happy place.
that's my
Yeah,
second.
the other
happy
one.
place.
That's
my
a
second.
set mic spot for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Let's talk about our trainers. Our trainers brought their A game to workshops. Leland and Kathy Beers and Susan Massey and all those people, Christy Porcelli, Britt Taylor, Susan McNulty, all of those people brought A games and came up with a lot of stuff. And we're going to showcase a lot of their stuff through our webinars and our podcasts this year.
You guys are, all you advisors out there are probably looking at a classroom full of yearbookies that are just like, what do we do? Where do we start? And so we want to start here talking about how to manage that staff, how to get them excited, what to do these first couple of weeks of school. I think the instinct a lot of times is like, we have to jump in and start creating pages right away. No, you don't. Take some time to do some team building. Let the staff get to know you. Let the staff get to know each other. There's so we're going to spend some time here today, yes, talking about some of our favorite team building activities. All three of us were advisors and teachers at one point. So we've got some fun things that we want to share with you, but we want to talk about why taking the time to do that stuff up front is so important. It's going to set your year on the right track if you take the time to do those fun things now while you can.
And if you're thinking about sitting them down and teaching them a layout right this minute, you probably want to rethink, because there's a lot to learn beforehand about yourself and about your abilities and about your friends and their abilities and what they're going to bring. A layout doesn't have to happen now, and a cover doesn't have to happen now. Just calm down.
Because
Yes.
what we're trying to do is build a community of trust, of collaboration, of communication that will carry you through the whole year. I've had years where we didn't do that as well, and we wound up not liking each other by the end of the year. And the real goal is, creating a yearbook is one thing, but the big goal is get to that end of the year loving each other and caring about each other and being proud of each other, of every individual's accomplishment on the staff. And that really does start even before school starts, but certainly in those first 2 or 3 weeks.
It's a good time of year to be able to set the tone for your classroom, to set the vibe. Yearbook's kind of a different animal. It's not your normal English classroom, science classroom, math, it's not like that, it's a different animal. So you do need to set the tone that this is a classroom that is much more collaborative. It takes a lot more communication and clear communication. It takes problem solving. It takes relying on the people around you to do their jobs and you to do your job. So there's a lot more of that stuff that you've got to get established up front before we, like Mike was saying, before we ever get into layouts. We don't need to do that right now. We don't need to do covers. We need to establish the tone and vibe of those communication pieces, trust, all of that stuff, collaboration, so that those are the skills, like Jim said, carry you throughout the rest of the school year. And it doesn't mean we do team building for 2 weeks, then we never touch it again. And then it's work until the year is you do this stuff throughout the year, but set the tone now. So that way you continue to actually showcase that stuff throughout the year, and you see
even
it
when
coming out
and where to
staff.
find answers. Where do we keep the battery chargers, and where are the SD cards? How do I check out a camera? All that stuff should be established right at the beginning, because it's going to be live here. And
Mhm.
somebody's going to have homecoming next week, and it's going to be ridiculous.
And we all know that yearbook is stressful, right? Like there are times where it is going to be stressful. People are going to get on edge. You know, you
Mhm.
might have like
Mhm.
I had two cousins on staff, and they were basically like sisters. They were attached at the hip years ago, and one of them was the editor in chief and one of them was a section editor. And every once in a while, when the editor in chief had to tell the section editor what to do, or that something needed to be redone, or they didn't like it, it could cause some tension with people. I mean, you're having to tell your friends how to fix a spread, or what you need them to do, or when you need something due by, or give them criticism. It can create some like strife, some little tension-filled moments, you know, maybe little tears sometimes. So that's where all this team building stuff comes in, right? Like if you build trust with that person, if you've learned how to communicate well, hopefully that kind of eliminates some of those stressful moments later on. So are there things that you guys did at the first like week, 2 weeks of school, just to get like fun activities to get everybody like talking, moving around, feeling comfortable with each other?
I did the Mean Girls thing. I put everybody up on a table one at a time, and they would have to say something and then fall back.
Like the trust fall.
I never did that. I so wish I did.
That would have been great.
Yeah, because I wouldn't have held it.
Well,
up to anybody.
we would start the first day of school every year, and I did this for a long time, and it kind of became a tradition. We did what we called the name game, where we had the crayons out, we had the felt markers out, and you had to draw an animal that started with the first letter of your name. So I got pretty good at making jellyfish. I got pretty good at making jaguars. And so you'd make this really cool drawing, and it would say Jim the jellyfish. And then I would say, hello, everyone, I'm Jim the jellyfish. And then Sabrina would go, hi, I'm Sabrina what would you say?
Snake.
What would you draw?
$10.
Snakes sound so mean, though. I don't want to be a snake. I'm drawing a blank.
A sand dollar.
So anyway.
A sand dollar. I can be a sand dollar. That's fine.
And then you would say, I'm Sabrina the sand dollar. And then I would say, and then you'd say, and that's Jim the jaguar or the jellyfish.
Jaguar,
We would go through that with a whole class, and everybody'd be laughing, and nobody would remember. And you got someone like Mike Taylor with that razor sharp brain would go last, and he'd get everybody all at once. And it was just a great first day of laughing. Yeah, they don't want to hear the rules again. They don't want to hear the boring stuff. They just want to have fun and laugh and start coming together. And we did that every year, and it was like a tradition. And we would put the little pictures up on the bulletin board, and then oh yeah, that's Jim the jellyfish. And we'd have that going on all year. So the more you can bring laughter and fun into the room, it's fantastic.
I think that's a good way to get like, sometimes you have your group of seniors that, have maybe been on staff for a long time, but you might have a couple of freshmen in there, or sophomores, juniors that are brand new. That's a good way to make sure nobody's falling through the cracks. Like everybody feels like they're a part of the team. They're a part of the yearbook fam, like they're not getting lost sitting in a corner somewhere and nobody knows who they are,
And there's other versions of that where you put a piece of paper on your head and you have to draw. You give a person a name tag, and it could be Frankenstein. Yeah. And then you have to draw Frankenstein on your head, and it's hilarious because they do funny things. And I always did novel characters from novels, like a Charles Dickens novel or a Grey Gatsby, because I was an English teacher, and they like that. They have fun.
Yeah. We used to do something similar with the characters. We did what we call the celebrity interview game, where I would put I would type out a bunch of celebrities, which I always needed the kids to help me come up with like actual celebrities that they would know and not people that I recognize. So we would come up with a list, and then I would print them out on little slips of paper, and I would walk around the room and tape them to each individual student's head. So everybody else could see what celebrity they were, but they could not see who they were. And then they would get up and mingle around the classroom, and they would ask each other only yes or no questions to try to figure out who they were. And so some people would figure it out, which was fine, but there was always a group of students that no matter how long we let them mingle, they just could not figure out who they were. So eventually we let everybody sit down. We brought the students up to the front that could not figure this out. And then we let them ask open-ended questions, and they figure out that celebrity so fast. Like they know super fast because open-ended questions get us so much more information.
What did you just teach?
Yeah. Interviewing. Yeah. So sometimes having activities and games like that it's a fun activity, but they're actually getting something out of it. There's importance to asking open-ended questions, how much faster you get information that's useful when you're asking open-ended questions. I was playing that game though when my administrator walked in to like do like a quick walkthrough evaluation, and I was standing on a chair, and I think I had Steve Carell taped to my forehead, and then all these kids are walking around with stuff taped to their foreheads, and I was like, I swear there's a point to this. Like I promise we're just not goofing around here. But so there's activities and games you can play too that have more of a yearbook message to them, but it's still fun. It's still team building. It's still a good time.
What do you think about starting the first day, the second day with major food like a wedding cake? Or I never did that. I brought in Twizzlers, or I brought in silly straws, but I never brought in major food until maybe the end of the week or the beginning of the next week, because it's like training a dog, Pavlov's dog. You don't want to make them think they're going to get that every day.
If you don't do a yearbook wedding, I suggest it. It's fun. Like it is, every student makes a vow about what they're going to do in the yearbook that year. And then the editor-in-chief we used to wrap a string around everyone's ring finger, and then it would connect everybody. But we basically talked about how much you have to rely on other people, right? And you're making a commitment to do the things that you're supposed to do on staff. And then you eat, which is great. Like Mike said, like there's food, then you eat because it's a wedding reception. But the kids used to, it used to freak out all the little freshmen because they were like, we're getting married on Friday. And they're like, I'm not ready. But but you're doing it.
And do you know a little bit of trivia about that wedding? It was created by two of our advisors.
I believe it. Who?
Susan Massey and Becky Day.
Of course.
Yeah. They created that. Right. And it's gone viral.
Everyone does one. Everyone. Yeah. Yep. It's a great thing to do.
And let me just throw in about what all this team building is really about. It's about building trust so you can work together throughout the year. Because, yearbook, we have to hold on things lightly. We have to be able to take criticism and make changes. And the more we trust each other, the easier that is going to be to do throughout the year. Yeah, and I also want to say, take the temperature of your team building throughout the year. I think Mike mentioned this earlier. It isn't just 2 weeks of team building and forget about it. You have to keep doing it throughout the year. And what I also would say, the big thing for my staff every single year for how many years did I do this, Mike? 200?
487.
That's right. Is that
you
have
Gutenberg Press.
Yes.
You have to be able to build a situation where people can communicate with each other. 90% of the problems that we had on my staff was because people were afraid to talk to each other. They were afraid to say, I'm struggling with this story. They were afraid to say, I've got a birthday party I have to go to on Friday. Can you help me be sure that I'm getting this done? So all of this, everything we're talking about here is to build trust and a place of communication among your staff.
You're so right, Jim. I used to call it productive procrastination. Like sometimes in the middle of the year, it feels like you have all these deadlines and you have all this stuff you have to get done, but sometimes it's actually more productive to take a break. Give yourself a little mental break for a second, play a game, have a 1-minute dance party, like do whatever you need to do, and then get back to work. And you're going to be more productive, more creative, less tension filled, less, angsty, because you took a break. So productive procrastination, there's something to that. So doing that stuff throughout the year, like Jim said, is a huge help. And we can always tell books, like the quality of your book really is a reflection of the quality of your staff, like the relationship on your staff. So when books are having fun, or when staffs are having fun, like you see that in the quality of the book. And when they are angry at each other and fighting and not communicating, that comes out in the quality of the book. So if you want a great book, you best be having fun with your staff and making it an emphasis in your classroom.
And invite people in. Invite guidance counselors in, invite your administration in, and invite the teacher next door that thinks that everything magical happens the night before the book comes and you're doing nothing all year. Invite them in to see what's going on and to participate and eat a piece of pizza, because they're going to help buy in. They're going to help the students buy into the book. They're going to help the school buy into the book. And an administrator being in there is awesome, because next time they walk through, Sabrina, when you're up on a chair.
Standing on a chair.
Yeah. They're going to understand the craziness of the
room. And they see how some of these skills actually carry out into the future, into other classrooms, other teams, other clubs, that ability to communicate, to be a team player, to collaborate with people, to be able to take criticism, like Jim, you mentioned, like that's a huge skill, that as they learn this here, they'll be able to see that play out in some of those other parts of their life and into their future career. So it's worth the time and effort is what we're saying. Like, do it. It's worth it.
So, but you can get those all year long.
Don't forget too that if you're still interested in more, like we just threw out a few ideas here for staff management, but there's still our Yearbook Suite curriculum has a whole unit on staff management. There's other webinar videos and stuff on motivating your staff and getting them excited. So don't be afraid to check that stuff out too, to get more ideas. And on our Walsworth Yearbook Advisors Facebook group, like people are always sharing stuff. So go check that out.
I have the back to school guide for advisors. Jim has the new advisors guide. Sabrina edited the new advisors
playbook.
Playbook. They're all there for you. You have so much stuff that you can download. Plus, we have class starters. We have all of our podcasts from last year, our webinars from last year.
President's Collection videos.
Yeah.
Lots of stuff.
And we're going to have some specific training videos that go along with this podcast, so you can look forward to those as well. So we are always turning out new stuff really to help support you in your classroom. We really love you, advisors. We want you to love this wonderful journey of creating a yearbook as much as we do. And we want to give you the tools to do that as successfully as possible.